and the United States, and already signed by nearly 100 countries. It has been hailed by people the world over who are thankful to be free from the fears of nuclear fallout. And I am confident that on next Tuesday at 10:30 o'clock in the morning, it will receive the overwhelming endorsement of the Senate of the United States. The world has not escaped from the darkness. The long shadows of conflict and crisis envelop us still. But we meet today in an atmosphere of rising hope and at a moment of comparative calm. My presence here today is not a sign of crisis, but of confidence. I am not here to report on a new threat to the peace or new signs of war. I have come to salute the United Nations and to show the support of the American people for your daily deliberations, for the value of this body's wedding. The reduction of global tension must not be an excuse for the narrow pursuit of self-interest. If the Soviet Union and the United States, with all of their global interests and clashing commitments of ideology, and with nuclear weapons still aimed at each other today, can find areas of common interest and agreement. And surely other nations can do the same. Nations caught in regional conflict, in racial issues, or in the death throes of old colonialism. Chronic disputes which divert precious resources from the needs of the people or drain the energies of both sides serve the interests of no one. And the badge of responsibility in the modern world is a willingness to seek peaceful solutions. It is never too early to try, and it's never too late to talk. And the United States, as a major nuclear power, does have a special responsibility to the world. It is, in fact, a threefold responsibility. A responsibility to our own citizens, a responsibility to the people of the whole world who are affected by our decisions, and to the next generation of humanity. We believe the Soviet Union also has these special responsibilities. And if those responsibilities require our two nations to concentrate less on our differences and more on the means of resolving them peacefully. For too long, both of us have increased our military budgets, our nuclear stockpiles, and our capacity to destroy all life on this hemisphere, human, animal, vegetable, without any corresponding increase in our security. Our conflicts, to be sure, are real. Our concepts of the world are different. No service is performed by failing to make clear our disagreements. A central difference is the belief of the American people in self-determination for all people. We believe that the people of Germany and Berlin must be free to reunite their capital and their country. We believe that the people of Cuba must be free to secure the fruits of the revolution that have been betrayed from within and exploited from without. Protection of freedom. And our determination to safeguard that freedom will measure up to any threat or challenge. But I would say to the leaders of the Soviet Union and to their people that if either of our countries is to be fully secure, we need a much better weapon than the H-bomb, a weapon better than ballistic missiles or nuclear submarines, and that better weapon is peaceful cooperation. We have in recent years agreed on a limited test ban treaty, on an emergency communications link between our capitals, on a statement of principle for disarmament, on an increase in cultural exchange, on cooperation in outer space, on the peaceful exploration of the Antarctic, and on tempering last year's crisis over Cuba. I believe, therefore, that the Soviet Union and the United States, together with their allies, can achieve further agreements which spring from our mutual interest in avoiding mutual destruction. There can be no doubt about the agenda of further steps. We must continue to seek agreement on measures which prevent war by accident or miscalculation. We must continue to seek agreement on safeguards against surprise attack, including observation posts at key points. We must continue to seek agreement on further measures to curb the nuclear arms race by controlling the transfer of nuclear weapons, converting fissionable materials to peaceful purposes, and banning underground testing with adequate inspection and enforcement. We must continue to seek agreement on a freer flow of information and people from east to west and west to east. We must continue to seek agreement, encouraged by yesterday's affirmative response to this proposal by the Soviet foreign minister on an arrangement to keep weapons of mass destruction out of outer space. Let us get our negotiators back to the negotiating table to work out a practicable arrangement to this end purposes. Finally, in a field where the United States and the Soviet Union have a special capacity in the field of space, there is room for new cooperation, for further joint efforts in the regulation and exploration of space. I include among these possibilities a joint expedition to the moon. Space offers no problems of sovereignty. By resolution of this Assembly, the members of the United Nations have forsworn any claim to territorial rights in outer space or on celestial bodies, and declared that international law and the United Nations Charter will apply. Why, therefore, should man's first flight to the moon be a matter of national competition? Why should the United States and the Soviet Union, in preparing for such expeditions, become involved in immense duplications of research, construction, and expenditure? Surely we should explore whether the scientists and astronauts of our two countries, and that freedom is more enduring than coercion. And in the contest for a better life, all the world can be a winner. The effort to improve the conditions of man, however, is not a task for the few. It is the task of all nations, acting alone, acting in groups, acting in the United Nations. For plague and pestilence and plunder and pollution, the hazards of nature and the hunger of children are the foes of every nation. Has man had such capacity to control his own environment, to end thirst and hunger, to conquer poverty and disease, to banish illiteracy and massive human misery, we have the power to make this the best generation of mankind in the history of the world, or to make it the last. The provision of development assistance by individual nations must go on, but the United Nations also must play a larger role in helping bring to all men the fruits of modern science and industry. A United Nations conference on this subject, held earlier this year at Geneva, opened new vistas for the developing countries. Next year, a United Nations conference on trade will consider the needs of these nations for new markets. And more than 4/5 of the entire United Nations system can be found today mobilizing the weapons of science and technology for the United Nations decade of development. But more can be done.
It was largely through
a
music.
World Center for Health Communication
I should probably say
under the World
that
Health
when I
Organization
wrote, Women
could warn of
Race in the
epidemics
Past, I did an enormous
and the
amount of
adverse
research.
effects of certain
I
drugs,
read all of the minutes
as
for
well
all
as
of
transmit the results of new
Black
experiments
conventions,
and new discoveries.
women's conventions,
Regional research centers could advance our common medical knowledge and train new scientists and doctors for new nations. A global system of satellites could provide communication and weather information for all corners of the earth. A worldwide program of conservation could protect the forest and wild game preserves now in danger of extinction for all time. Improve the marine harvest of food from our oceans and prevent the contamination of air and water by industrial as well as nuclear pollution. And finally, a worldwide program of farm productivity and food distribution, similar to our country's Food for Peace program, could now give every child the food he needs. New efforts are needed. If this Assembly's Declaration of Human Rights, now 15 years old, is to have full meaning, and new means should be found for promoting the free expression and trade of ideas, through travel and communication, and through increased exchanges of people, books, and broadcast. For as the world renounces the competition of weapons, competition in ideas must flourish. And that competition must be as full and as fair as possible. The United States delegation will be prepared to suggest to the United Nations initiatives in the pursuit of all these goals. For this is an organization for peace, and peace cannot come without work and without progress. The peacekeeping record of the United Nations has been a proud one, though its tasks are always formidable. We are fortunate to have the skills of our distinguished Secretary General and the brave efforts of those who have been serving the cause of peace in the Congo and the Middle East, in Korea and Kashmir, in West New Guinea and Malaysia. But what the United Nations has done in the past is less important than the task for the future. We cannot take its peacekeeping machinery for granted. That machinery must be soundly financed, which it cannot be if some members are allowed to prevent it from meeting its obligations by failing to meet their own. The United Nations must be supported by all those who exercise their franchise here, and its operations must be backed to the end. Too often a project is... I also hope that the recent initiative of several members in preparing standby peace forces for United Nations call will encourage similar commitments by others. This nation remains ready to provide logistics and other material support. Policing, moreover, is not enough without provision for Pacific settlement. We should increase the resort to special missions of fact-finding and conciliation, make greater use of the International Court of Justice, and accelerate the work of the International Law Commission. The United Nations cannot survive as a static organization. Its obligations are increasing, as well as its size. Its charter must be changed, as well as its customs. The authors of that charter did not intend that it be frozen in perpetuity. The science of weapons and war has made us all, far more than 18 years ago in San Francisco, one world and one human race with one common destiny. In such a world, absolute sovereignty no longer assures us of absolute security. The conventions of peace must pull abreast and then ahead of the inventions of war. The United Nations, building on its successes and learning from its failures, must be developed into a genuine world security system. Peace does not rest. 2 years ago, I told this body the United States had proposed and was willing to sign a limited test ban treaty. Today, that treaty has been signed. It will not put an end to war. It will not remove basic concepts. It will not secure freedom for all, but it can be a lever. And Archimedes, in explaining the principles of the lever, was said to have declared to his friends, "Give me a place where I can stand, and I shall move the world." My fellow inhabitants of this planet, let us take our stand here in this assembly of nations, and let us see that if we, in our own time, can move the world to a just and lasting peace.
Country blues, it emerged precisely because these men would travel around looking for work. And some of them would travel with abandon or get caught. And those who were best people at translating the experiences of the group into the language of the
where what they're doing in the local community is maybe they are working on something for the homeless. So you can look at different organizations by what do they do and how do they go by doing it. You know, do you want to give to a local organization? Do you want to give to an organization that does something at scale across the United States? Do you want to give to an organization that's global? Those are all different types of giving, and there are organizations who do that in all different kinds of ways. So I think sometimes starting in your community, when you're first getting started, maybe is the easiest place to start because it's in your own backyard. It's easier to talk to people you know, or they connect you with somebody who lives across town who, let's say, is working on homelessness, and maybe that person suggests you go work in the food bank at first, and so you get some hands-on experience of, oh, okay, what is this, population that's coming into the food bank? Why are they homeless? And you start to talk to the partner organizations or the people in that organization about what are you seeing in homelessness? Why is there more of a need for food this time of year or this year compared to last? It's a great way to learn, and I think to build up your confidence in giving. You start to learn about where the needs are at a deeper level. But then I think if you're going to do international giving, going initially with some very trusted organizations, it's extraordinarily hard to, I think, sit in your home or sit in your office if you live, say, in New York or in Seattle or DC, and completely imagine, what is life like for someone who lives in a rural part of Kenya? But we know there are needs there. Wow, there are organizations who must have worked on that. I should learn about them and trust them that they know what they're doing in those populations. There are so many different blueprints for giving. I really encourage you to think hard about the different ways by which you could give. One would be something people call trust-based giving. That form of philanthropy is something, for instance, that Mackenzie Scott has been doing more recently. And she calls it seeding by seeding, which is she's making seed grants or investments, but she's letting go of control of the money and trusting the organization that they will do well by her and by her money that she's investing in them. The benefit of this type of giving is the organization can use the funds as they wish, which allows them to focus on the needs they identify. One potential drawback is grantees aren't necessarily expected to report back on specific outcomes, making it a bit harder to know as a giver if you're making progress on your goals. So that's one way of giving. Another way of giving is to think of it as you make a set of strategies that you're going after, and you're really making grant making or investments based on those strategies. For instance, Gates Foundation, one of our strategies is really to tackle HIV around the globe. And so we make very concrete and specific investments in HIV and grant making, but across a broad set of portfolios, a vaccine, a diagnostic, a medicine, and we do that systematically over time, and we stick with that category until we feel like maybe there's a real solve there. So direct aid is when you literally put the cash in somebody's hand or in their mobile wallet, let's say. And the other type of giving is really giving to an organization who then disperses the money. So when I say putting money directly in somebody's hands, you know, there are over 300 studies that have been done of where when you put what they call a cash transfer into somebody's account, it's incredibly effective because you not only change, let's see the thing they're having trouble doing is putting nutritious meals on the table for their children. Well, by taking that burden off and making sure they have money for nutritious meals, you take some stress off the family, and then they may take their other resources and put them in education. So that can be a very effective way of giving. Organizational giving is when you give to an organization, let's say, that is doing a whole host of things, maybe to help lots of families increase the nutrition in their household. And so that organization is systematically doing work in a community or in a broad set of communities or countries to change that outcome. When you're giving to an organization, you definitely want to make sure it's a partner you can trust. I recommend looking at sites such as Charity Navigator, Giving Compass, or GiveWell. There are also plenty of other resources out there to help you evaluate an organization's work. So let's say you were going to give to Heifer International. You can go up and look at, you know, how long have they been in existence? What have they done? How many people's lives have they affected? What did they start doing and what do they do now? Who's on the board? Or do other people know people in the organization? You can also ask about the recipients. Is this organization targeting communities that are often overlooked? How do they impact individual recipients? So when you give through an organization, particularly one that you've done your research on or asked others about, you can count that your money's going to be spent well generally. And so it's a very trusted way, I think, of giving money.
And yes, she did have a gun in her pocket. Look at Sojourner Truth.
At the Gates Foundation, we really think of our work in philanthropy as being a catalyst. That is, we are part of an ecosystem that we think of as philanthropy, government money, private sector, and civil society. Our role as a philanthropy is to really take on risks that governments can't or won't take on, maybe shouldn't take on with taxpayer money. And so we will take some risk, we will experiment in some places to try some things that maybe haven't been tried before. And if they work, then we really take it to government to scale it up. We also work in very specific strategic areas that we've chosen for our foundation. So for instance, that means predominantly outside the United States, global health. And in the United States, we work predominantly on the U.S. education system because we feel that if you can grow up healthy or healthy enough in the United States, everybody deserves a great education. And we're going after very specific areas. And we're putting requests for proposals out on areas, for instance, how you might solve malaria, whether that's a vaccine or it's a medication or it's a bed net. Maybe we do need new types of bed nets that are easier for people to re-dip and to reuse. So it's very specific strategies against which we're doing grant making.
It's for women against patriarchy. Frederick, you are expressing the
in venture giving, you're making an investment on a company that's early stage of the company quite often or early stage of a market. So by investing in them, you're placing a bet to say, I think this is going to go where it looks like the company thinks. I think they're going after a market that has value but that hasn't been developed yet. The benefit of venture investing is that you can potentially earn money, but it also allows you to give philanthropically as you build a marketplace for causes you believe in. Pivotal Ventures is a company that I formed in 2015, and it's really focused on women and families in the United States, and especially people of color. And so the way Pivotal works is we both do direct grant making, that is, we do trusted investments in local partners at times. Other times we do some venture philanthropy, that is some investments in new types of company, bringing companies forward that might connect communities. So with venture investing, or some people call it venture philanthropy, You're saying to yourself, look, there's a market that doesn't exist yet. So for instance, caregiving in the United States. There is an enormous need for caregiving for our young children and caregiving for the elderly. Who does that focus on the most? Women. Who does it fall on the most? Women. They do that unpaid labor that we so often don't talk about, but that is, sitting right here in our faces. But you're starting to see, like in venture philanthropy, people are coming forward with heart rate monitors where they can monitor an elderly person's heart rate from afar so they can live in the place that they are, but know that even if they're starting to lose their memories, somebody else is helping monitor their vital signs. One of the things I've done with Pivotal Ventures is invest in a company early stage.
Collaboration and community. So I really encourage you to keep up with all that they have going on.
With a younger population who has time on their hands, the young people get paid, but they pick up the prescriptions for grandma or grandpa, or they bring groceries, or they come and spend time with them. But what I expect on my capital, on my investment in a company like Papa, is I will get a social return, but I might not get as large of an investment return up front because it's a new market that still needs to be proved out.
We will all be grateful for your silent device. While you're doing that, I'll tell you about the plan.
As you think about your own philosophy for giving, I think at this point is a really good time to go back to some of the things we talked about earlier in the exercise.
And then we will take questions from the crowd. What we would love is to get to have as many questions as possible, but we have only a little bit of time together. So if we can really keep those to questions, that would be delightful. We are all big fans of both of them, and we will channel our love with our smiles and our applause. But if we can really focus on questions, that would be amazing. And also if we can wait for microphones. I have a really hard time hearing the questions, and I know that they would have a hard time as well. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and one of our incredible staff will come to you and get you a microphone. So please wait for a microphone if you have a question. It's such an honor to welcome Sally Mann. Her compelling photographic series have been helping us look and think carefully for decades. Her 2015 memoir, Hold Still, was just staggering in its intimacy. It offered the same assured, unflinching directness as her images. Tonight, she'll read from her really fantastic new book, Artwork. Even for those of us, like me, who have no creativity whatsoever, it's just a really incredibly helpful way in thinking about how to get shit done. We all need that in our lives. I think one of the things that I took away is that we often mistake irrelevancies for urgencies. We often kind of focus on things that we think we have to get done before we can get our work done. And so I thought the book was really helpful for me, and I encourage you to spend some time with it. Leah Ullman's writing about art came into our lives right about the same time that Mann's photographs did, and with that same stealthy force. Her thoughtful prose has helped us process what's happening in the visual arts with clarity, with vigor,